Michael Popok, Legal AF. We got a race that we're following between the District of Columbia Court of Appeals and the U.S. Supreme Court as to who's going to get to the decision and reach a decision on whether Donald Trump somehow has immunity from prosecution to stop his D.C. election interference case from going to trial in March and having his indictment dismissed. It's all going on right now, fast and furious, into the Christmas and holiday season. Jack Smith, not taking any chances, decided to file two pieces of paper with two different appellate courts in a belt and suspender move that I admire. One, he filed it with the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court in what's called a writ of certiorari to decide if they have any interest, because of the extraordinary nature of the case and the circumstances, to just take a direct appeal from the trial court level and skip the stop in the middle, which is the intermediary appellate court. And so far, the Supreme Court has said, yeah, we're interested. Do a full briefing between now and Christmas. We'll get back to you and let you know if we're going to take the case directly. But Jack Smith filed another piece of paper in the D.C. Court of Appeals, and that D.C. Court of Appeals has said today, let's have oral argument on January the 9th, meaning get your briefing done. We're doing the oral argument on Jan 9, and I expect a decision soon thereafter. I don't know if it's the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, or the later on the 9th, but they are taking this seriously. Now, one of the three judges assigned to the D.C. Court of Appeals, Judge Henderson, who was a George W. Bush appointee, she said she wanted to pump the brakes. So it was a 2-1 decision today to have the oral argument on the 9th. She was like, why don't we let our bosses at the Supreme Court go first? Let's wait for them to decide, and then we'll set oral argument. But the other two judges, Judge Pan and Judge Childs, both Biden appointees, said, let's set oral argument and keep this thing on track. Now, let me give you some historical context. Things move very quickly when they're important to the U.S. Supreme Court and other places. It doesn't take weeks or months. It can take days or hours. In Bush versus Gore, from the Florida Supreme Court's decision until the decision by the Supreme Court that Bush was our president, it took all of 72 hours. That was full briefing, oral argument, and a decision. A momentous decision that changed the course of history as to who was our president. Think about that. Could have been President Gore. Instead, by a 5-4 vote, it was President Bush. And you can do the math of what happened after that. So when they want to move quick, this could be a 72-hour decision. January 9th, okay, here we go. Ruling 10th, 11th, or 12th. Supremes, they don't really care what the D.C. Court of Appeals does at this moment. If they ultimately decide that they want the case, they'll Bigfoot the D.C. Court of Appeals below them, and they will take the case. So what are we watching? Just as a catch-up here, a little Legal AF breakout session. What are we watching? We're watching Jack Smith try to box in Donald Trump. He keeps claiming immunity. Immunity, I've got immunity. So far, there's been at least 3 different immunity decisions in the last 2 weeks, all against Donald Trump. He doesn't have immunity from civil suit for Jan 6th related to the things he did that caused injury and death and maiming to other people on Jan 6th, including Capitol Police and members of Congress. The D.C. Court of Appeals said he does not have immunity for suit related to that. He doesn't have immunity related to his defamation case brought against him by E. Jean Carroll. So that's 2. Judge Chutkan ruled in her case, in the D.C. election interference case, that Donald Trump does not have immunity either for criminal prosecution, because it falls outside the outer boundaries of what he was allowed to do as the president under Article 2 of the Constitution. So this has been a bad week for Donald Trump and immunity. He seems to be allergic to this doctrine.
Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some five-star hotels. Miracle sheets are the perfect gift for your spouse, friends, or family who doesn't want better sleep and luxurious feeling bed sheets. And since these come with 3 free towels, you get 2 gifts in one, just in time for the holidays. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Go to trymiracle.com/legalaf to try it today or gift it to someone special this holiday season. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Save over 40%. And if you use our promo LegalAF at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/legalaf and use the code LegalAF to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/legalaf to treat yourself, a friend, or loved one this holiday season.
And now, Jack Smith's called his bluff. You want to keep going immunity with me? Round for round? Let's do it until I get a knockout. So I'll take you up on it. You think the Supreme Court is better for you? Let's go to the Supreme Court. We're going to get there anyway. This is the thinking, I believe, for Jack Smith. Let's get in front of the Supreme Court. Let's see what Roberts can do. We know the line of cases related to immunity. They're in our favor, the government's thinking is. And let's do everything we can to keep the March trial date. That's how confident and cocky Jack Smith is that he can win on immunity. And for good measure, if you want to do it at the D.C. Court of Appeals, we'll do it at the D.C. Court of Appeals. Now, Donald Trump jumped up and down and said, oh my God, it's Christmas and Jack Smith's the Grinch. Not making that up. He actually cited the Grinch book in one of his filings. And the D.C. Court of Appeals saw the Grinch in the opposition paper to slow things down and said an hour later, we're going to brief this over Christmas. And now they've said today, we're going to have oral argument on January the 9th. Now, we'll have access to that oral argument. Even though things aren't televised, they post things like this on the website. So we'll have access. We'll be able to analyze everything that goes down. Now, what could happen between now and the 9th is that the Supreme Court decides after full briefing of its writ of certiorari, which will time out before the 9th to hold either a very quick oral argument or rule on the briefs. They don't have to have oral argument. And so we will know, right after Christmas, sometime between, the 2nd to the 9th, what the Supremes are doing. Now, if the Supremes say, we don't want to take it. We want it to come up through the normal rank, come up through the D.C. Court of Appeals, then fine. The D.C. Court of Appeals has its oral argument on the 9th and rule a day or two later. If they say, no, we want to go first, then they'll put a pin in the D.C. Court of Appeals. They'll suck up like a vacuum cleaner the appeal up to the D.C. Court of Appeals. They'll hold oral argument. They'll make a ruling. One way or the other, we are going to have a ruling by an appellate court about whether Donald Trump does or does not have immunity from prosecution in the District of Columbia for what he did soon, like in the next 2 weeks. And that should be enough to keep the case on trial in March if these appellate panels rule as we think they're going to here on Legal AF that Donald Trump does not have immunity from suit. Sets a terrible precedent that a former president can commit a crime of any sort in order to cling to power, and it's not going to be able to be prosecuted. I don't think that's where the Roberts Court or the Gorsuch Court, or whatever you're going to call this Supreme Court, is at the present moment. They frequently decline, except for Alito and Thomas, to side with Trump about anything related to his fascist attempts. But we'll see. We'll follow it right here on Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. and on hot takes like this one. Hopefully my cold will be over by then. I'll be able to do it with a clearer head. But if you like what we're doing here, leave me a thumbs up and a comment. And then follow us on Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the MeidasTouch Network. So until my next hot take, Until my next Legal AF, hopefully a cold-free Popok will be with you again. This is Legal AF and Michael Popok reporting.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.